And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Pinata Party. This is a game about hitting a pinata. There's a birthday party there and getting candy and then trying to get candy. But take all that out of your mind. The candy theme here is an illusion. This is an abstract strategy game where you are trying to move pieces and manipulate them around the board to score. The thing is, every game is going to be completely different based on the cards that you draw. Let me show you. A random board is placed here. There's 4 green boards, and these can be rotated or flipped. On each board are flowers, and then on each of the flowers you're going to place different candies of the different types. They have stickers on both sides, blocks like this. Now, the game comes with a bunch of movement cards, and it comes with several scoring cards. You're going to take 1 scoring card and 2 movement cards, and that's what you use for the whole game. Each of the movement cards has different abilities on it, and what a player is going to do is on their turn, they're going to pick 1 candy piece on the board, and they're going to move it through both of these movements. So they're going to, like for example, this one slides next to another piece and then jumps off over another. So perhaps I'm going to move and slide into another piece. Well, I'm going to do the jumping one first, so I jump, and then I slide into another piece, like that. Now when your turn is finished, if the moving piece is next to other colors, you take all those colors. So here I would take the 2 whites. Maybe if I have some way perhaps to get an orange over here in this spot, which I'm not sure I can do right now. I could jump the orange and then slide the orange over. And then I would get all 3 of these orange pieces. Now if you can't do a move that is going to score you any points, you have to pass, and when everyone passes, the game is over. At that point, players are going to look at the scoring sheet. Here, each scoring thing is different. Here you want to have the most of each type, and that will get you points for having the most of each type. Here you get points depending on how many you have of each color. Some you get points for however many of each color are still on the board of that type. So there's different scoring things, and there's also different movements. Here you can jump on top of other pieces. Here you can jump between pieces. Here you can slide and push other pieces. Here you can move. Here you jump over 2 pieces. So the movement cards are going to be different every game, and the scoring will be different. So each game will be kind of different that way. And really, that's the entire game. There's a scoring track on the outside to keep track of your points. Most points wins. If there's a tie, whoever has the fewest candy wins. No, I think the game looks fine. The blocks are big and colorful, different candies. Like I said, the candy theme is barely there, but the board looks fine. The movement cards are pretty good for the most part. You'll probably have to look up in the rules how to move with each of them, and some of them are a little bit more complex, and that's kind of the good and bad of the game. The good is you're going to get all sorts of combinations of 2 different moves. The bad is sometimes the moves are going to be wonky. In fact, like the example game I showed you where you jump a piece and slide, that's a pretty simple game. And the rules at least tell you these are some things you should use, especially with the scoring. If you score with the number of pieces left on the board, it's a very wonky scoring as opposed to just trying to get the most of as many different colors as you can. And so I think this game does really well, but you have to kind of maybe start with some of the easier movement settings, or maybe you want to jump into the weird settings. You have to go curve, and then you have to jump diagonally. And so the game itself can kind of lock down into a bit of a cerebral thought as I look at the board and try to figure out the best spot. And I would recommend with some people bringing out a timer, because the moves that you can make especially at the beginning of the game, are really exponential. As the game goes on, there's fewer and fewer candies on the board, so the game will progress faster and faster. And I think it kind of works best as a 2-player game, because any move your opponent makes, you can counter. Here, you can try to set something up, but if you play with 4 players, you might as well just roll your eyes and look away and wait until it's your turn and then see how the board has changed. It changes too much. So I like it best as a two-player game. I think you should pick some moves, and I would actually pick them rather than random the moves and the thing and say, hey, let's try this. But I do think it's interesting that in this box, or essentially it's the same game system, but it plays different various ways. It also plays fairly quickly. I know I said that there's some analysis paralysis where people can stare at the board for a very long time, but there's also the whole point where sometimes it just goes quickly. Like, I'll go here, I'll take 2 orange, I'll take 2 blue, I'll take 2 pink. And so you can play it fairly quickly. Games can last 30 minutes or less. So it's an abstract strategy style game. I think it works excellent with 2 players. There's a lot of different combinations in it, and it has a nice charm to how it looks. That's Pinata Party. Dice Tower Judgment approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.